Hello everybody, welcome back to another video on the channel today. Different type of video today, I'll get into that shortly, but reflecting on the Slavisa Kanovic sacking briefly. Obviously now things have settled down over a couple of days now, and reflecting on it, I do think the change was the right thing to do. However, I don't agree with how the board went about it. I think Alistair McIntosh in particular lied to the Fulham supporters' trust on Monday. I think that was totally uncalled for. Because in my opinion, I think the board knew that they wanted to sack Kanovic, and they should have just been up front with the supporters' trust and been up front to us instead of going behind his back deviously to try and sack him and then replace him very quickly with Claudio Ranieri, who I haven't got a problem with. I don't think he's at fault for this. No way. Of course he's not. He's only doing it. He was, as far as he's aware, there was a vacancy and he's got every right to go for it. I think it's more to point the finger at the Khans and even Alistair McIntosh. I know he's involved in it as well, and I think it was just wrong to go behind Slavisa's back after everything he's done for the club. I think he deserved at least a bit more of a dignified send-off, but we'll save that for another time. Today I'm looking at the transfer rumours floating around Fulham, and four particular players who I think Claudio Ranieri might try and sign in January, and four players who could really help us prop up the top and push up the table and move away from that dreaded bottom three. So we're going to get into it straight away. We're going to talk about signing number one, and potential signing number one will be on the screen for you now. So obviously potential signing number one is obviously Danny Drinkwater from Chelsea. Hasn't featured a lot for Chelsea since being signed a couple of seasons ago for a decent sum of money. And under Ranieri in their title season, he was absolutely fundamental to the reason why they won the league. In my opinion, I think his partnership with N'Golo Conte in the midfield was absolutely fantastic, and that was probably the most important partnership. In particular, in my opinion, that really held that core of the team together. It was the heartbeat at the side, and they just really complemented each other so well in the midfield. Kante with his ever-present energy, his fantastic engine, and Danny Drinkwater, who grew into the role really well. A fantastic distributor of the ball, a hard-working box-to-box midfielder. And I think that's what we need, to go into the midfield. I think, if Ranieri is going to play two up front, which by the sounds of it he is, I do think we're going to need an extra man in midfield who's going to do the dirty work. And I think if we were to put him alongside Seri, I think that could work. I think it'd be definitely a good player who could complement Seri and really show what he can do. Because I don't think Anguissa is really the right type of player for us. I could be proved wrong. Ranieri might actually see a long-term future for Anguissa, but I don't think there is really. And it's, he's shown little in the first few games he's played for us. And I do think that if we're going to move forward as a team, I'd like to see Danny Drinkwater coming on loan. I definitely think he's a player who could add something even better than what we've got in the midfield. And definitely, I'd be happy to see him come in. So that's potential signing number one. On to potential signing number two. So potential signing number two is obviously Liverpool centre-half Joel Matip. Obviously, he hasn't featured a lot for Liverpool this season. Only made 3 appearances, I think, to date so far this season. And I think he'll definitely want to look to try and get a loan move in the January window. Ranieri is earmarked to be a big fan of Joel Matip. I definitely think, looking at our backline, he'd add something that we don't have. I think he's a big, tall, combative centre-half who's good on the ball, which is probably what we need. But I do think he will add some stability to our backline. Obviously, as everybody knows, we've leaked goals left, right and centre. The worst defensive record in the league and probably the worst in Premier League history. I think we've conceded more than the Southampton side that came up a couple of years ago. So it definitely means we have to try and look for a centre-half. And there's also rumours that Ranieri, in fact, will look for 2 extra defenders as well as a striker. But we'll get into that in a minute. There's a couple more players I will mention. But I think Joel Matip would be a fantastic signing for us going forward. I think he's definitely a good player. He's got experience in the Bundesliga. I think he was at Schalke where he went before moving to Liverpool, so he's also got that experience of playing in a big league where Schalke's a big club in Germany as well. There's a lot of pressure on them to do well every season. There's obviously plenty of talent in the Bundesliga he's faced week in, week out. Obviously clubs like Bayern Munich and Dortmund spring to mind. So he knows how to deal with himself in the bigger leagues. And I think it'll be a very good experience sign to add to a back line which is limited on Premier League experience. So I do think that we are going to have to get some experienced pros in at the back who have played in the league before, because looking at our centre-half options, they're not good enough for this league. I don't think Ranieri will use many of them at all. I think a couple might even leave in the January window. And I think particularly Matip would be a huge signing, and it would definitely improve that calibre of centre-half that I think we'd have. So that's potential signing number 2. On to potential signing number 3 and the penultimate one. So potential signing number 3 is obviously free agent, big, combative, big presence, a big German Robert Huth. Obviously, people might look at this and think, why would we try and sign Robert Huth? But he's obviously out of contract, hasn't got a club at the moment, you know, since leaving Leicester, obviously. And he was a huge part of Ranieri's title-winning team. Similar to Danny Drinkwater, he built a good partnership at the back with Wes Morgan. And they're two centre-halves who you wouldn't really think would be the centre-halves who'd win you a league title, obviously. But he was fantastic for Leicester under Ranieri, did a lot of the dirty work very well. And you know, I think on a free transfer, maybe to the end of the season, I don't think it would be such a bad idea. I think he had something that we don't have. He's a leader, got plenty of experience playing for some big clubs. Obviously, he was at Chelsea. He's been around the block a bit, so he's got a wealth of experience. And I do think he'd be a very good signing. If we were to fail to get Matip, then, you know, maybe even get Robert Huth or even get them both. Obviously, there's a problem there with Robert Huth that he hasn't got the pace. Maybe putting him alongside an Alfie Mawson would be worrying because of the pace. But the fullbacks we have are quick enough, like Joe Bryan, Fosu Mensah, Christie. They're all athletic centre halves who can help out on the cover. And I do think he'd be a good short-term solution to what we have. I definitely think he'd be a bit more vocal, and it's definitely what we need, really, because our back four is very quiet, and he's a very good leader, obviously. A wealth of experience, as I said, and he'd definitely be somebody to lead that back four going forward. You know, and as a free transfer, you can't go wrong with that, I don't think. You know, that experience, that know-how would be absolutely crucial to our dressing room in this situation we're in. Obviously, he knows Ranieri very well, knows what to expect from Claudio Ranieri as well, so it wouldn't take him long to adapt. He knows the Premier League inside and out. He's an absolute wealth of experience at a number of different clubs in this league, so he knows what the league is and knows what it takes to succeed at the very top, obviously, with his title-winning campaign at Leicester, so it'd be a very good signing for me. If we couldn't get Robert Huth, I'd look at people like Andreas Christensen from Chelsea, maybe even Gary Cahill from Chelsea as well. Two good centre-halves who haven't got the game time they probably think they could have had at Chelsea. And they both do us very well, I think, as well. But I'd like to see if maybe get Robert Huth in, hopefully sooner rather than later if we could. You know, I think it'd be a good signing. So yeah, time to get on to the fourth and final potential signing, number 4. So obviously the fourth and final potential signing is obviously Stefano Akaka from Watford, and this has been rumoured. This has come out in the media for the past couple of days now that Ranieri might look to try and bring him into the club, maybe, you know, to try and partner up Mitrovic up front because he wants to play 2 up front. As Ranieri came out in his press conference yesterday and said he wants to try and go 2 up front, he'll be looking for a potential partner for Mitrovic. And I don't really understand why we'd probably go with somebody like Akaka. I think if we're going to go for a striker, I'd think, you know, we'd have to go for somebody who's going to play alongside Mitrovic, who's maybe a bit smaller and a bit more mobile. Because I think if you're going to put a big physical presence like Akaka, who's, you know, if people know, he used to play for us as well, didn't he? Obviously, and you know, he didn't really pull up too many trees. And a couple of years back, or a few years ago now, it was, weren't it? Before going, you know, out to Italy, I think it was. He came back to England. Obviously, I think Walter Mazzari signed him at Watford a couple of seasons back, and he featured a couple of times there, and, you know, he hasn't done great at Watford. Let's be honest, he hasn't played much. He hasn't really done much at all at Watford, and it would be a signing that I wouldn't probably be happy with, you know, because I just don't see any reason why we'd want him. Obviously, I know, you know, he's a big physical presence, but he's a cast off from us, and he didn't do much at all when he played for us a couple of years back. So I don't see any reason why we'd want to go for him. You know, I'd personally like to see somebody like Shinji Okazaki. I know people might be thinking I'm naming every single Leicester player who's not getting games at the moment, but it's obviously not like that. I think Okazaki's work rates would suit our team very well. He works hard off the front line. He doesn't get as many goals as people would like, but I think he'd be the perfect partner for Mitrovic. Somebody like him with a never say die attitude who'll chase down every single ball and work his absolute bollocks off. I definitely think he'd be a good signing for us. And if we were to get a Akaka, I wouldn't really be happy with it, but, you know, if Ranieri believes in him, obviously, then you just got to back whatever the decisions are made. Obviously, there would be that problem with the board maybe having an extra influence on signings, and I think that's probably the reason why Kanevich is out of a job. Okay, it may be a bit of a flawed argument, but, you know, I think Ranieri would have been aware of the current transfer predicament and how Tony Khan and his assistant, you know, like to do things. Obviously, Craig Klein's not at the club no more, he left, but the saga still goes on with the transfer problems. And I don't think we've seen the last of any transfer issues yet. And I do think that Ranieri has probably said to the board that if you want me to keep us up, then let me sign the players I want to sign. And I think he's going to have to say that as well, you know, because we need players over 28, you know, and that rule of not signing players over 28 is farcical in my opinion. In a situation like this, you need as much experience as you can, and I think the owners are going to have to bite the bullet and say that their regime don't work, because in my opinion it doesn't work, and I think it's rubbish. And we're going to need some bigger players coming in, obviously, and, you know, if Akaka were to sign, as I said, you know, it'd be a decision based on Ranieri. He believes in him, so we've got to back it. and we've just got to see what happens. So there you have it, guys. There are my 4 potential Claudio Ranieri signings to keep us in the Premier League. If you did enjoy it, guys, hit the thumbs up. That'd be greatly appreciated. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. It'd be much, much appreciated as well. And we'll see you all potentially Friday, I think, for the Southampton preview. Southampton vlog as well. I'm also going to Chelsea away as well in a couple of weeks. Ticket came through today, which is brilliant. So I'll be going there at Stamford Bridge. I'll be sitting in the shed, upper end, obviously. Lower end, I don't want to be down in the lower end, obviously. I'd rather be up at the top in the upper end, get a better view of things. And yeah, so I'll see you all next time.